Up there doesn't say 7.
It's 7.
It's 7? All right. All right, guys, we'll get started. I'll call to order the Torch Lake Township regular board meeting of October 21st, 2025 at 7:01 PM. Sharon, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will defer my opening for a moment and we'll turn the floor over to Sharon.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. On behalf of myself, it is with a heavy heart that I share the tragic and unexpected loss of Michigan Township's Associate President and my good friend, Harold Koviak. Harold was supervisor of Burt Township, Sheboygan County, and was just elected to MTA's president this past April 25th here. Please keep Harold and his family in your prayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Board, when speaking, please move close to your microphone to ensure we are heard clearly for the YouTube streaming, and I request that citizens who speak to adjust the height and stand close to their microphone. There will be 2 opportunities for citizen comments. I will be requesting people stay within the 4 minutes in both citizen comment sections. The first section is related to anything on the agenda. The second section is anything of interest to the township. Moving on, we have 1 set of minutes to approve. Are there any changes to the minutes of the regular board meeting of September 16th, 2025?
I have none.
I have none. All right. Hearing that, I will make the motion to approve the September 16th, 2025 regular board meeting minutes as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. It is moved and seconded to approve the regular board meeting of September 16th, 2025 as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is the agenda. I'm sorry, correspondence and announcements.
And I have none.
You have none. All right. Can I steal one of your ink pens?
Certainly.
Thank you, because I forgot. All right, so now approval of the agenda. Anybody have any changes to the agenda? If not, I have one under information only. Quick comment with regards to next year's road work. With no other changes, I make the motion that the agenda be accepted as presented with changes. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. It is moved and seconded that the agenda is accepted with changes. Is any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none.
Where were you putting that? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
Where were you putting it at? I didn't.
Under
At the very end of information only,
Okay.
F.
second page.
Yeah, I got second page here. Okay, thank you.
Okay. No further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we will now move to the citizen comments. Mary, do we have anything related to the agenda?
No.
All right. Moving to the consent agenda, anyone wish to pull any of the reports?
I do not.
I do not.
All right. Hearing that, then all reports are accepted by consent. Under special reports, we have a special guest. Leslie, we'll let you come forward and discuss the dams.
Thank you. Leslie Myers, Antrim County Operator of Dams and Drain Commissioner. I am here to tell you, give you some background, and I put a nice little handout in front of all of you that some has some good information on it. That'll be more detailed than what I'll get into in the 10 minutes I've been allotted. So back in 2019, we received a grant to work with the Army Corps of Engineers to do a hydrologic analysis of the Elk River chain of lakes. There had been a lot of interesting flooding, dryness, the water levels were fluctuating. We received a grant for $300,000, and $75,000 came from the County Board of Commissioners to do that study. When the study was done, or while the study was being done, the Midland dams blew out. So there became even more an urgency to look at what was going on. And when the study came back, we determined that it would be best to then do a follow-up study. And we took the model and all of the information that came from the Army Corps of Engineers, and we turned it over to an engineering firm who then looked just into the dams and what the dams might do in these, because all it was telling us was where the water was and when it would breach. So we moved to the next phase, and again, with all the assistance of all of the lake associations, they put into some money, and the county put in about $20,000, and the rest came from the lake associations. We studied the dams, and we found out that the Elk Rapids overflow spillway was having some serious issues. Since that time, we've also found out that we know that the FERC, Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, canceled their inspection of the Elk Rapids Dam itself, not the overflow spillway, but the dam itself during COVID. Then it was, last year's inspection was pushed off to this year, and I got a phone call about 3 weeks before the inspection was going to take place in June, and was told that it had been canceled for layoffs and budget cuts. So it never got done. So I have subsequently ordered that study to be done on some money that the County Board of Commissioners gave to me. And we're gonna make sure that the dam itself is okay and that we're just not dealing with the spillway. We also found out that the Bel Air Dam would overtop if a 100-year storm at the same time fell on that part of the watershed. So we became very, very concerned, especially based on Midland. And then the heavy rains happened in March of this year. And if you lived at a high elevation, it turned to ice. But if you lived in the lower elevations, it just kept raining for about 5 days. We still had some frost in the ground. We still had some ice on the lakes. And we were 3 inches from reaching the maximum limit of the Bel Air Dam. So that scared us a little bit more. Well, it scared me, keeps me up at night. And I went to the County Board of Commissioners and said, we have been doing a lot of studying. We have about $500,000 into studying and what's going on, and we need to move this forward. And the County Board of Commissioners passed a resolution that stated the Drain Commissioner had the authority to go out and talk to the neighboring counties, because the Elk River chain of lakes is in 4 counties. Well, the lion's share of it is in Antrim County, and Antrim County has been paying for the legal lake levels that are controlled by the Elk Rapids Dam and the Bel Air Dam since we inherited that back in 1971, I think was the first court order. And so I started talking to those other counties. So far, Kalkaska County has joined along with us. And then Charlevoix County is going into closed session next Wednesday to discuss their participation. And Grand Traverse County went into closed session last Wednesday, and they're making their final decision whether they're going to send a representative or just join with us. So maybe it can be a smoother and swifter process. With that, we found out that the Bel Air Dam, I received a grant for $500,000 from the state of Michigan Dam Risk Reduction Grant Program to do a study and design a new dam for Bel Air that would work. We are halfway through the $500,000, and we're now into construction drawings. And we know that that dam is going to cost somewhere between $6.2 and $6.7 million if we're to build it next year. We still don't have the construction documents for exact figures, but that's the guesstimate that the engineers have given us. Well, if it's going to cost, if it costs $500,000 to figure out how to fix Bel Air, I'm going to need some money to really determine what it's going to cost to fix Elk Rapids, so I don't know that amount yet. And we don't know how else to get the money other than through a special assessment district. To be specific, all of our lake level orders were approved by a judge between the early 70s and 1990. And the judge established a special assessment district back then that the county did for 1 year. And then they made some repairs, some minor adjustments, and then they stopped collecting the special assessment, sadly, because otherwise we'd have a whole bunch of operations and maintenance money, but we don't. So the old lake level orders were done under a 1961 act through Eagle. Today, they must follow a process, what's called Part 307, and that is through Eagle. So what it technically means is that we must have 2 districts. One district is from the back side or the back of the Bel Air Dam all the way to the Elk Rapids Dam. And the other issue is from the front side of the Bel Air Dam all the way north. So we also know that there's some improvements up north of the dam in Bel Air that have to be taken care of that we're still trying to figure out, and we've begun a study on that as well. Who will pay was a question that Bob had for me. Those that will pay the special assessment when we determine how much it will be those that have direct access to the water. So if you live on the water, or if you have indirect access to the water. And indirect access may be, say that you have a subdivision, and the subdivision has a park that's on the water, and everyone in their neighborhood has exclusive rights to that park, then that's indirect access. Will they pay as much as someone who has direct access? No. How it's going to divide up once we have figures and numbers is, think of it like this. If you live on the water and you have a house and you have 150 foot of frontage, you're 1 unit. If you're on the back of the subdivision and you have rights to a park or something like that, you might get 1/10 of a unit or 1/4 of a unit. If, say, that you live on the lake and you are part of one of the old resorts that became a corporation and everybody owns a share and they get their 1 cottage with their share, and there's 9 cottages there, that's 1 unit each. Marina, it will be based on how much or how many boats and boat docks, what are they renting out, how are they using it? So we'll be looking at use as an intensity. Something that's important to note about special assessment districts, they are not voted on by the people. A judge makes that determination, and the drain commissioner is given the authority to determine if it's necessary or not. Right now, the counties of Gladwin and Midland, those people that lived on those 4 lakes that they haven't had since 2020, their new special assessment district is going to be about $2,800 per household for the next 40 years. To put that back, are we going to drain as drastically if something should happen to our dams here? No. But over several years, changes are going to happen. And where there's shallow waters, there might not be water anymore. And in some cases, they'll just be streams. We used to dredge on a regular basis throughout the chain of lakes when we were logging and doing other things. There's been no dredging on the waters since 1959. Let's see, what else did you ask? I'm trying to do everything that I can to keep prices and costs down. We've been very fortunate to find out that we had a dam engineer that lived on Benway Lake in the upper chain. He has volunteered his time to what we call our lake advisors group. He can then tell us when the engineers may or may not be doing what they need to be doing. We also found out that we had a drain attorney, retired, who lived on Torch Lake. So he's been very great about telling us what we need to do and when it's time to really call an attorney, because he's just volunteering. We've got a grant writer on there. We've got a lot of good volunteers, and we're trying to save money. The board authorized me to be able to do some of the work that an engineering firm said that they would do to the tune of about $200,000 that we'll be doing in-house. And we're trying to save money anywhere we can. And unless someone knows, I don't know, Madonna or Kid Rock can come up with maybe a way that we could find some money otherwise. I don't know how to do it. Grants are drying up. I mean, I can't get another dam risk reduction grant at this point. So I got to do it the hard way. I also know that people this could hurt some people. I know that there's a lot of people that are just going to write the check and it's no big deal because they know it's, number one, it's important, and number two, they don't have to worry about finances. But I know that there are families that are struggling to try to keep hold of their family cottages. Taxes are huge. And I also know because I'm going to have to pay the darn thing too. So I want to make sure it's as low as possible. And let's see, I left you our latest newsletter that fills in a lot of the gaps. Throughout this process, there will be public hearings. There will be things that happen in court. I'd be more than happy to come and give you guys an update every month. Otherwise, Jairus has been following me around for 2 weeks now from community to community. So I'm pretty sure he might be able to even give those updates, but I'm more than happy to come back, answer anything. And Bob and I also talked briefly about doing some type of public event here when the people come back in the spring, and we can talk about it in a public forum there too. And if you
Great.
have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
That was well covered. Sure, Tom.
Thank you. Leslie, I think, not just for me, but I think from a clarification standpoint, the fact that they asked you to separate it into two special assessment districts, northern, and, the upper strait chain of the lakes and lower chain. Was that intention because of the two dams that are involved, or is it because of the size and population of the two areas?
No, it all has to do with the division and how the water affects each
Okay,
section.
I thought so. From the work that has been done, do you have any idea whether the amount of assessment would be fairly even between the two districts, or does one look like it's going to be more than the other?
I think it's going to be more expensive in the upper chain because there's more work to do. And there's more houses on the lower chain.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, thank you. I know that question came up at our board meeting, so.
And I guess I'm talking to you guys at your next board meeting.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Dan told me that you confirmed, so
Yes.
we appreciate you.
And again, it's an ever-changing story. Something new happens every day. I'm more than happy to share everything, but I just don't want anybody to be surprised.
Thanks, Leslie.
Good job,
Thank you.
Leslie. Thank you.
Thank you for everything you do.
Does anybody want one of
All
my
right.
handy handouts?
All right, moving on. Andy. Planning Commission.
Yes, so the Planning Commission met yesterday evening. The focus of the agenda was twofold predominantly. First was the Parks and Recreation Plan for the township. And then the second component was basically a survey summary, and open house summary that happened back in September. Regarding the Parks and Rec plan, the reason for that is because in order to apply for a lot of state grants and so forth, you have to have a Parks and Rec plan. Otherwise, you just really can't submit one or submit a request for it. So we want to get a Parks and Rec plan in place by February, because that would give enough time for notice, public hearing and so forth to make it in time for this coming year in case we do want to apply for grants. So we've got a draft that the commission considered, and we expect to have that draft finalized and ready for submission to this board in time for the November meeting. So that would ideally, that still gives us a little bit of slop time in case we get feedback or what have you, but that's the objective. So I think that overall went pretty well. Then the other component was basically the survey that was done in the community, which again, the open house for folks that did participate was very good attendance. And we got some really good input for the master plan, which that work's going to continue as we proceed through the fall and into very early next year. So overall, I think it was a successful meeting, and we'll keep moving the ball.
Great. Thank you. Mary, FOIA updates or announcements?
The FOIA that I was working on is done and ready to be sent,
Okay.
and we haven't gotten anything else.
We got our money?
We got our money
Okay.
yesterday, yeah. The check
Good.
came yesterday.
All right. On the financials, much has really changed at this point. We're still waiting for the revenue to start coming in December. The general fund was favorable by $8,000, pretty much 50-50 across the cost centers. The fire fund is still negative, and that's due to the unbudgeted down payment on the new fire pumper and some of the capital improvements. Ambulance fund was unfavorable due to the budgeting error that we had in the revenue side. Otherwise, expenses were essentially flat. And the road work is complete and all items have been billed. We came in $28,900 under budget. I'll be working with the road commission on next year's estimate. Moving to the next item, board action. We have no old business. We have 5 items under new business. The first item, based on last month's meeting, we said we want to take a look at the dollar amount necessary to require multiple bids. Andy, I did do a real quick analysis on the 15 years of CPI and PPI, and it came out about 9,000, a little bit above that. So if we had kept that inflation, it would be around 9,000 at this point. We know that some of the costs associated with the township runs more than CPI. So I'm open for any dollar amount that people would like to present to the board for consideration. Thoughts?
I think the logical way to look at it for consideration is just to make the adjustment for CPI, which gets you a little bit north of 9,000. We know, I think without reasonable doubt that, this is on the upper edge of kind of inflationary pressures in this township. So if you rounded it to 10,000, it'd be conservative, would still be a reasonable spot to be in. So I would suggest 10,000.
Okay. Other thoughts?
I was looking at 15, but I had no reason for rounding type of
Yep.
thing.
Jason, thoughts?
I mean, you mentioned this to me last week, so I mean, I kind of agree with what Andy was saying. I would like to see it rounded to 10,000.
All right. Then I will make the motion to approve the increase in the amount under Torch Lake Township Board of Trustees Policy 4.7B from $5,000 to $10,000. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded to approve the increase in the amount under Torch Lake Township Board of Trustee Policy 4.7B from $5,000 to $10,000. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Mary, will you have a roll call vote, please?
Bob,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Mary, yes.
All right. Motion passes. 5-0. Second item. Motion on the table for Bill Peterson for appointment to the Planning Commission. We have a vacancy. Bill in the past has served both on the board as well as the planning commission. I look at the township as being divided. The zoning enabling act says that I need equal or careful representation among the various sections. I look at M88 to the north, M88 south to Creswell, and Creswell to Erickson. That would encompass most of the agricultural area south of Creswell, vast majority of it. And so I believe they need representation on the board. So I'd like to make the motion to approve the appointment of Bill Peterson to a 3-year term on the Planning Commission effective November 1st, 2025, and expiring on October 31st, 2028. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jason. The motion has been moved and seconded to appoint Bill Peterson to a 3-year term on the Planning Commission effective November 1st, 2025, expiring on October 31st, 2028. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Mary, a roll call vote, please.
Sharon,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Mary, yes. Bob,
Yes. Very good. Thank you, board. Item number 3, Sharon, that's your item.
Thank you. Well, it's Fire Prevention Week month, this month of October. Does everybody have that little handout or anywhere? Or is it just the board has this? Is there one in the
It
packet
should be in
down
the
there?
package.
Okay. I'll just read what we have here. Fire Prevention Week, October 2025. This year's theme is Charge into Fire Safety, Lithium-ion batteries in your home. This board and the entire community of Torch Lake Township acknowledge the fire department as a vital public service. The department is a first-class team and ready to serve and protect those in need 24 hours a day to our constituents. Our sincere appreciation as we recognize the accomplishment of Torch Lake Township's Fire Department and the best wishes for their constant safety and good health for the upcoming year. Thank you for what you do, a great team. Thank you for our fire chief, and make sure we convey all that to your firefighters and volunteers in that department. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. All right, moving to the next item.
So I think I need to recuse myself from this.
No, you don't.
I don't?
No. You wouldn't have a financial gain any consideration.
Well, there's, I think it's like $80 a meeting, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't
Go
think,
wait out, go wait out in the hall.
He's gonna vote no.
I know you wanted to do something funny tonight. Is Kristen watching?
No doubt that she is.
Kristen has served on the ZBA for the past 3 years, and she's been a great contributor for the work that's been done on the ZBA. She agreed to serve another term, so therefore I would like to make the motion to reappoint Kristen Graves to a 3-year term on the Zoning Board of Appeals effective November 1st, 2025, and expiring October 31st, 2028. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion on the motion? It has been moved and seconded to appoint Kristen Graves to a 3-year term on the Zoning Board of Appeals effective November 1st, 2025, and expiring October 31st, 2028. Mary, would you conduct the roll call vote, please?
Jason,
Yes.
Mary, yes. Bob,
Yes?
Sharon,
Yes.
Andy.
Yes.
Man, we gotta have some levity around here. Very good. Motion passes 5-0. And you can extend our appreciation to Kristen for signing up again. She and Laura make a great team. All right, last item, Board, if you'll remember, we did pass a motion for a speed study. I think at the time I had mentioned that there was a new state trooper that was in charge of this particular exercise, and they have come out with a required resolution that the board is to submit. I included that in your packages.
And I proofed it.
You proofed it? Did you find anything?
No, I already did.
Oh, good. So does anybody have any questions?
I do.
Oh, you- Sly dog, you.
When is it gonna be done? Are they
Well,
gonna wait and do it during the busy time, or are they gonna do it in January?
You have no control over that. If history is any direction as to what will happen, it will probably be in October. So we will do our best to try to get it done during the height of summer. But the last two studies that were done, one was at M88. They did that in either late October or 1st of November, and the one on Northwest Torch Lake Drive was done, I think, in October.
And we pay for
Late.
this?
No.
Oh, well,
No.
then we can't complain, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we can complain.
It's
There's a
not,
time, but,
I
you
mean,
know,
it's really not a good indication of the problem.
we'll work with Bert, see what Bert can do. Because at least now, under this new law, the township has a little more activity that they can participate in. So I will try to stay on top of that. Make sure that at least we get something in the summer.
So what speed studies have we done over the last, say, 10 years or so?
The two I mentioned.
Just the two?
One,
What about before? Any sense?
no idea before. I know of nothing on M88, or at least nobody has told me that there were speed
They
done.
didn't, it wasn't approved, so what was requested was not approved.
Yeah, in the past, I think the road commission kind of was able to make the call on it. So they always said no. And Bert actually has driven the roadway based on the requirements that are used. And he said there was only a couple of curves that might be under 55. Everything else could do 55 without stressing the driver. Unfortunately, we're trying to figure out how not to stress the walkers and the people on bicycles. So we'll see what happens. So with that, I will make the motion to approve Resolution 2025-5, Torch Lake Township request for speed study on Northwest Torch Lake Drive. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. It's moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2025-5, Torch Lake Township request for speed study on Northwest Torch Lake Drive. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Mary, would you have a roll call vote, please?
Jason,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes,
Andy,
Yes.
Mary, yes. Okay.
All right, that passes. I'll get that to Bert Thompson. We'll do the signatures tomorrow. All right, we have nothing for board discussion tonight. I now have 4 items just to quickly go through information only. The first one, I've worked with Mark Bard. I think it's Bard. He's supervisor over Central Lake Township. He's visited me a couple of times, and he's seeing if we have any interest in partnering with them around their waste recycling operation. He is working with the county and a couple other counties to figure out the cost. They have 17 acres. They're looking to expand their operation if, in fact, he can get some of the local townships' interest in contributing to that. Right now, that's all I have. I'm not sure what their board has discussed at this point. He was just checking to see if I would have an interest and if the township would, and I said, yeah, but let's see numbers first. So I just want to bring that up. Second item
Wait,
is.
Bob, before you
Yeah.
move on, so just so I'm understanding, so would this be a recycle thing like down in Elk Rapids? Or would it be like a thing like they had before that we can no longer use?
What they had before.
Or like you could take your couch and pay to get rid of it?
Yeah, that, it's supposed to be expanded. I asked them about, for instance, grass clippings and trees and stuff like that. There was no clear answer on that. Again,
Okay.
what he's trying to do is get the recycling out of his parking lot and put it down at the site. But the county controls that, so if he moves it, then he's got to open up his site. So he's got some things he's got to do. This is just basically bringing to your attention it. Second item, the state finally passed their budget, and the impact to us is somewhere around $3,700 less than we did last year. It's not a lot, but as I told Sharon, let's wait and see what we actually get next budget year. Third item is the torrential rain that we've had, and the long term, we've got a lot of roof, and we had flooding in the building, in the back of the building, and in one of the ambulance rest areas.
Bedroom.
In the bedroom. So that got all cleaned up, but I had a couple of people come and look. We're looking at gutters with leaf guard, heated leaf guard to fight the ice. And we've got to figure out if there's something they can do in the back. Everything's going to get shot out to the parking lots. The stuff out front here will be towards that retention pond in the front. The second bid that was going to come in did not include the gutter guards, so I don't have anything permanent or fixed at this point for us to consider. Hopefully I'll have it by the next board meeting. And again, I think I included the road work, the plans coming up. We're about 75% of the way through. I'm going to talk to Bert, and I'm going to try to combine the work that we were going to do in 26 with the work in 27 and combine those two things. Right now, our millage runs about $350,000, $360,000 a year. So I can knock those two things off next year. And then the big one is Northwest Torch Lake Drive. I mean, we took Bert's estimate and increased it 7.5% for 5 years. And we came up with a number around 710,000. Bert insinuated that, there's some pricing relief that's been coming up in the recent quotes. So hopefully we don't have that. So I would say next year board, we're going to have to decide, do we do it all at once? And based on what we'll get in taxes, we can do either half or do it all and borrow from the general fund until the next year. It's because at that point, that's the last road that the township's responsible for, and we will have completed the work in about 6 years. Sure.
We might need to look and take in consideration with this new budget through the state budget too, also was because of the revenue sharing going down, was because the sales tax is going to the road fund. So perhaps in the next year or two, already know that there's a 35.6 increase to all the road commissions. So let's just kind of look at all that and take it in contents also. So I don't know what their plans are for the next year or two, but that's the reason our revenue sharing's gone down. It's because revenue sharing is based on sales tax, with all that sales tax going into the road fund. That was part of the budget type of thing. So we'll just wait and see.
Well, based on what the road commission has told me in the past,
Well, it's-
I'm going to prepare and hope
This,
for we
this
get
is,
some
this
relief.
was just passed last week, so
Well, no, I
let's see
know
where
that.
it goes from there.
Yep,
We can hope and hope.
you will hope.
I will hope.
Knowing the state and the county, we've got a plan, and if we can get money out of the county, that'll be a plus. That concludes that section of our
Bob, can I ask one
agenda.
question on
Yeah.
that, just out of curiosity? So we're 3/4 of the way through kind of our 6-year plan of
Right.
road improvements. And I realize it varies based on surface and so forth, but in general, when would be the kind of next slug of work? Is it 10 years, 15 years? What do they say?
We took Bert gave me an estimate. Most of it's going to be between 7 and 10 years. And
Longevity in those things?
yeah, and when we talked about the budget at the budget meeting this past March, if you take, I think we're at 19 miles, and if you increase the road costs, because Bert told me we're going to have to take the roads down and redo the road beds. So he told me that that's going to be quite expensive, but we'll be able to, again,
Start
tailor
building.
it, right?
Start building over time.
So we're not going to stop the millage. We have to go back to the public next year to get another 5 years or so.
Yeah, it's a 5-year, we'll have to put it on a ballot, 2026, to renew what we do have currently going. And that's a board decision, what we want to put on there at that time, so.
Yeah, I think, based on my growing the number, it's in the millions.
Sure.
But again, it's going to be, once that starts in 7 years, then as long as the taxes continue to come in, we should be in pretty good shape.
Right.
Not to have to borrow money to do the road. So on a long-term basis, that's the plan that I've been pushing for.
Me too.
Yep.
Good.
All right, with that, next item, citizen comment. Do we have anything?
Jairus, Rubing.
Good evening, everyone. Couple things. At the end of the year, Antrim County has a number of boards and committees, and we take interest notification forms for anyone that that would be willing to serve. We just recently had an opening on the 911 board, and Kevin Lane was appointed. But I would just like to read the ones that are open right now. The notification forms are due. You can check the website, but they're due within the next month or so. The Commission on Aging Advisory Board, the Construction Code Board of Appeals, the E911 Board, the Economic Development Corporation, the Farmland and Open Space Preservation Board, the Northern Lakes Economic Alliance Board, the Antrim County Planning Commission, and the Antrim County Veterans Affairs Committee. So those appointments are, any citizen can submit an interest, and those appointments are usually made in December, but the deadline to submit them is coming up next month. You can check it all out on the Antrim County website. Just briefly, you mentioned Mark Byard. He's the supervisor of Central Lake Township, and he has been appointed to the Antrim County Materials Management Planning Committee. And there is one representative from a township in Antrim County that's on that committee. Before, it was the supervisor for Milton Township. And he resigned, he was busy. And so we had an opening and Mark applied. So Mark is the new township representative on that committee. And that committee is the result of a statewide law that requires us to look at waste and recycling and composting. And Antrim County, we have decided to partner with Networks Northwest. They're helping a whole bunch of counties get this plan moving. So we get an appropriation from the state, and we basically turn around and pay Networks Northwest to help us move this forward. They have meetings in the Antrim County building about every month or every other month. There's one representative from a township, and there's one representative from a village. And the representative from the village is the village of Central Lake, and it's Michelle Bachman from, she's a member of the village council of Central Lake. So, and that just briefly on the drain commissioner, I just think Leslie's been doing a great job. She's very thorough. I was in a meeting recently where we were talking with her and with the Register of Deeds to see on a specific lake who has access to the lake and who has the ability to use it, because she wants to be as fair as possible. And I really commend her for that. I will also say that she's installed some new rain gauges throughout the chain and also lake level gauges. And I think that's very helpful because she has a court order to keep the lake at a certain level. And we get 2 inches of rain and she lifts the Blair Dam a certain amount. And it takes 2.5 days before we see the lake go down in Ellsworth. So having more than one lake level gauge, I'm surprised we didn't have it in the past, but it's going to be very useful, I think. Other than that, I've had a couple meetings recently with the sheriff and with Mortensen Funeral Homes, trying to improve the medical examiners' review of deaths, unexpected deaths in Antrim County. The time that's allotted and the way that they've treated the families, I feel hasn't been as good as it could have been. And the sheriff and Mortensens have been very supportive. And I will just briefly go over, we had the medical examiner's report. There were 68 unexpected deaths in Antrim County last year, so they have to examine those. This year, 2025, looks like we're at 41. And this year, the good news is less than 40 years of age and over 40 years of age, confirmed drug-related deaths are 0. And last year, we had 5. And this year, we've had 8 toxicologies ordered and 6 autopsies ordered. So.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rita Service.
This is just a quick question for you, Andy, because I keep forgetting to put the PC meeting on my calendar. And you were talking about that this last time you were dealing with the Parks and Rec section or something. Is there a copy that, we can get, especially like the day park? I didn't know, since we weren't there at the meeting and you're still working on the draft and the forms, if there was anything that was available for the public to see.
The draft of the Parks and Rec plan is
Yes.
part of the packet for the meeting yesterday, so it would be on the website.
Oh, perfect. Thank
Yep,
you.
it's in there. It's buried down in there a little bit. There's a bunch of pages of stuff, but it's in there.
Okay,
And copies are in the front office on the counter too.
all right,
It's pretty straightforward. It's
All right.
not complicated at all, so.
all right, thank you.
So you think.
Implementation is complicated. The plan itself is not.
Right. All right, board comment. Sharon, we'll start with you.
Okay, I've just got a couple. I just have a comment because listening to Jared there. The commissioners thankfully are looking at through the recycling program. That's probably one of the best things Antrim County ever did. And I traveled wherever anybody travels. I just came back from Tennessee and there's no recycling anywhere. And it's terrible. And Leslie Myers, was our guest speaker tonight, her son Joe worked in the planner's office and was initially the one that got it started back when I was working there. And it was a long feat to get that done. So I commend Antrim County for the recycling program as it is. Also, the ME, I commend commissioners to look at that ME again. I commented on it last year. And lastly, happy birthday to Bob next Tuesday.
Ancient history. Andy, comment?
Nothing for me, thanks.
All right, Jason? Mary?
Happy birthday, Bob.
Oh, thank you. For the next board meeting, I promise you guys that I will have a financial report as to where we stand as tax collection starts in December, exactly where we stand with our monies on the general fund and some of the outstanding big debt that we have, which is a couple of fire trucks, and hopefully the ambulance will come in, and we'll be working through that and just revisiting how we split the taxes for the fire and the ambulance between capital and operations, and just to revisit that. And put on your calendars, January is budget time again, so we'll be looking at 3 meetings, maybe 4, as we've done in the past. And the first one will be salaries for the township. With that, I make the motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Meeting's adjourned.